Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the 10th episode of the MoonKast, the 10th edition of the MoonKast. Today's date, April 7th, 2016. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from Griffin G. Chat, release date to be announced. Today, we will talk about the Golden State Warriors chasing the Chicago Bulls record. We will talk about the NCAA tournament. We will talk about the NBA standings. Where are teams in position at? We will talk about the NBA draft. We will talk about NBA news and so much more. The MoonKast, once again, has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. And now, without further ado, born and raised, Ohio, your host, Griffin G. Child. Ladies and gentlemen, women and gentle germs, this is the one and only Griffin G. Child. This is the 10th episode of the MoonKast, the 10th edition of the MoonKast. Yes, that is right. This is episode number 10, and I am so happy to do it again. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date is still to be announced. If you have been tuning in, I am working on a brand new album, but it's still not ready yet. The album is still cooking, it's still in the oven, not quite ready to go yet. For all those new listeners, if this is your first time listening to a MoonKast, do not let this be your last. There have been 9 MoonKasts before this one. This is the 10th episode, so feel free to subscribe to my channel, as well as feel free to go back and listen to the previous MoonKast. The first edition of the MoonKast was made back in December, so we are now in April, toward the end of the season here, of the NBA basketball season. And for all those who missed it, about a month ago, I did a special edition of the MoonKast on one of my favorite players in NBA history, Scottie Pippen. So go back and you can look up the Scottie Pippen effect. For all those who missed it, it's a great MoonKast. For those who didn't know how Scottie Pippen was born and raised, you can go back and check that out. As I said, there's 9 previous MoonKasts out there. You want to go back and listen to any of those. You don't want to miss out. There's a lot of great information, a lot of good news, a lot of good tidbits on basketball in general. So we have an explosive show today, and I am thankful and I'm happy that you have decided to listen and tune in today. So let's go ahead and go over the topics that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are trying to break that Chicago Bulls record. We want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. We're going to talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament. It just ended. It was a fantastic tournament. So we want to talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament. We're going to talk about the standings in the NBA. We're going to talk about where teams are. It's almost time for the playoffs. I am very excited. So we're going to talk about the standings in the NBA. We're going to talk a little bit of draft news. The NBA draft is forthcoming, so we want to talk just a little bit of draft news and some of the things that I've been hearing. We're also going to talk just some basic NBA news, and we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns a little bit, because I am living in Arizona. The Phoenix Suns playing against the Utah Jazz on Sunday, this past Sunday. For those who celebrated, I hope you had a happy Easter, if you do celebrate it. Like I said, it's going to be a great, fantastic show. I am looking forward to getting into all these topics and looking forward to digging down and really breaking it down for you guys. Once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double album from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date is still to be announced. We're going to go ahead and take a pause for a station identification, and I will be back with you shortly. Thank you once again for listening. This is episode number 10. I'll be back shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from Griffin G. Child. Release date to be announced. You are listening to Moonbase Radio, and now back to the show. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date is still to be announced. I'd like to go ahead. We're going to start this show off and talk about March Madness real quick. The tournament just ended on Monday. A phenomenal game, fantastic game between the Villanova Wildcats, which they are based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've had the honor of living in Philadelphia for about 9 months. The basketball fans there, or the sports fans there in general, they are very passionate about their teams. I know this is a great win for the city of Philadelphia. North Carolina, they were led by Marcus Page. He hit a phenomenal three-pointer. He scored 21 points in that game for the North Carolina Panthers, but they fell short. Chris Jenkins of the Villanova Wildcats actually hit the game-winning three-pointer. It was a phenomenal game, big shot after big shot. Congratulations to the Villanova Wildcats. I know Michael Jordan was in attendance at that game, as well as Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, among others. A lot of the North Carolina faithful were there in attendance, and I know it was heartbreaking for them to lose on that shot, but it was a fantastic tournament to me. I was actually rooting, if you remember. I wanted to do a show before the Final Four, but I wasn't able to. But I did put out a March Madness show. My bracket was pretty much destroyed. So many upsets in this tournament, which is good. I like to see the small schools win and move on, so I think it's good. I know people want to see the powerhouses, but I've never been a fan of college teams that just get all the great players, and where other teams don't get the great players and they just beat and trounce all over the smaller schools. So I like to see the smaller schools put up a good fight. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a 5-star recruit go to a smaller school. I don't think it matters what school you go to anymore. You can go for the heritage and the tradition, but in my opinion, I would just rather see a player just go where you want to be comfortable, and especially if you're a phenom and you're not planning to stay anyway. Like, to me, it doesn't make any difference or make any sense if you go to a Kansas or a Kentucky if you're not even planning to finish. So I know people don't want to hear that, but I like to see the smaller schools win. There's a lot of big upsets. Middle Tennessee beat Michigan State. I was actually picking Michigan State to make the title game, so to see Michigan State get bounced out, that was a huge shock. I was actually rooting for Oklahoma. I was riding Buddy Hield all the way to the title, and he got to the Final Four. Oklahoma made the Final Four, but they weren't able to seal the deal. Villanova was just too great and knocked Oklahoma out in the semifinal game. And so I can't say that I was disappointed, because I wasn't disappointed at all. It was really tough to pick a bracket this year with all the upsets that were going on. So, like I said, let me give you a score. I'll go ahead and give you guys a score on that game. The Villanova Wildcats beat the North Carolina Tar Heels 77-74. And it was a great game. Now, there are a few players that are coming out that have already announced that they're coming out. Jamal Murray from Kentucky, Skal Labissiere from Kentucky, Tyler Ulis from Kentucky. They have all announced that they're going to declare for the draft. Now you can declare for the draft, see where you're going to be at, and then you can return to college if you do not hire an agent, so you can kind of get a draft projection. Of course, Ben Simmons has already declared, and he has signed up with Clutch Sports, LeBron James sports agency, ran by his partner Rich Paul. You also have Brandon Ingram from Duke. He has already declared. And Dragon Bender, I spoke about him. He is from overseas. He has declared. So you have a couple of guys who have declared. I'm going to talk more about the draft as we get into the month of May. I'm not going to talk about the draft a whole lot, but I'm just talking about it a little bit as far as on the college level. Let's go ahead and shift gears from the March Madness. Let's just talk about a player who I was looking at to be a top pick in next year's draft. I haven't spoken about this player in the MoonKast yet because I was waiting to see what he was going to do. But we're going to go ahead and talk about this special player real quick. This is a player. His name is Thon Maker. He is a 5-star recruit from Sudan, but he moved to Australia, so he's Sudanese and Australian. This player, Thon Maker, he was born on February 25th, 1997. So he's actually about 3 months older than my daughter. I do have a daughter who's 18, love her to death. So he is 19 years of age, and so he is actually trying to declare for the NBA draft since he has already turned 19 instead of going to college for a year. He wants to see if he can come right out because the NBA rules stipulates that you have to be 19 years of age to come out, or a year removed from high school. So I'm not for sure if he will be eligible. So you want to stay tuned for that. But this is breaking news. Thon Maker was actually looking to go to Arizona State University, which I was really hoping he would come here. Arizona State University, or ASU, is located here in Phoenix, Arizona. So you have Arizona State University. He was looking at St. John's, Notre Dame in Indiana, and Kansas, among others. So I was really hoping that he would come to Arizona State University so I could get a chance to look at up close and personal and give you my expert analysis. I was highly disappointed that he was not in the McDonald's All-American game. The McDonald's All-American game actually aired, I believe it was March 29th. The McDonald's All-American game came on ESPN. So I was highly disappointed he was not in that game. I believe it's because he is connected, because he plays in Canada. He is playing for the Orangeville District Secondary School in Canada, in the Canada's Athletes Institute. So he is playing for Canada's Athletes Institute, and the school is called Orangeville District Secondary School. So I don't ask me how they came up with the name for this stuff, but so Thon Maker. Let's go ahead and let me give you a little overview on this young man here. So he was born in South Sudan. Sudan. They gained their independence from Sudan in 2011, and it is in Africa, in the northeastern region of Africa. So from there, his family moved him to Australia. He was moved to Perth in Australia, and he started playing basketball. He is 7'1". So he is a big man. He's not a big-bodied big man. He is a slender big man. In my opinion, he reminds me of Kevin Garnett. I've heard comparisons to Kevin Durant, but to me, he doesn't play anything like Kevin Durant. He's more of he can shoot the jumper to me like Kevin Garnett. He can block shots and rebound. I don't think he has the ball handling ability of a Kevin Durant. Let me go ahead and read you some of his numbers real quick. He averaged 22 points and 13 boards, 4.5 blocks. So of course this is high school level, but those are still great numbers. I guess technically he was not allowed to play in the McDonald's All-American game. I was looking forward to seeing him, and he wasn't able to play. But basically, I don't want to delve too much into Thon Maker. I don't want to delve too much into all the backstory, but I just wanted to give you a brief idea about this kid here. He is projected to go in the first round. I'm not for sure where, since he's declaring at this time. I don't think scouts were really ready for him to declare. So he could go late first round, or he could move up the draft boards, or maybe he could actually shake things up and move a guy out. So be on the lookout for Thon Maker. He's actually 7'1". So to me, he reminds me a lot of Kevin Garnett. You can go on YouTube and check out his clips. His name is Thon Maker, T-H-O-N Maker. Check him out. Like I said, he is kind of shocking the world, because I was expecting him to announce his decision to go to one of the colleges, but he is trying to go straight to the pros since he's already 19. And if a young man can escape war, the young man can play in the NBA. I mean, what's harder than what he had to escape growing up? So I have no problem with him trying to come and play into the NBA. I will talk more about that probably later in May as well. The draft lottery comes up in May during the conference finals, and I'll talk a lot more about the draft and all those things at that time, and as far as the prospects and things of that nature as well. So we got off to a exciting, we got out the gate pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and take a pause for a station identification, and I will be back with you shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. The double LP from Griffin G. Child, release date to be announced. You are listening to Moonbase Radio, and now back to the show. All right, I am back in business. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. The double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date is still to be announced, and I am back. So we're going to go over some scores in the NBA. Tonight is April 6th at the time of this recording. It is April 6th, Wednesday. So by the time you get this, it may already be Thursday or Friday. But we're going to go over the scores from Wednesday night real quick. There is still one game that has not completed, so I will give you the score up to this point, but by the time the MoonKast is done and by the time you hear it, that game, that score will be out there and ready, and it will also affect the standings. But the score of that game should not really be in jeopardy, and I should be able to project the standings, because the one team is playoff bound, the other team is in the toilet. So let's go ahead and get started. The Cleveland Cavaliers lost to the Indiana Pacers tonight. LeBron did not play. They rested him because this is the second game of a back-to-back. He didn't play. Indiana Pacers won 123 to 109. The Los Angeles Clippers are winning against the Lakers right now, 85 to 73. This is the game I was telling you about. This game is not complete. 85 to 73. This game is in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go. The Lakers are not that great, so I don't think they can I don't think they can come back and pull it off. So I'll probably go ahead and pencil the Clippers in for a win in the standings. But if the Lakers do make a comeback, just take one game off. But the Lakers want that top 3 protected pick, so I don't think they're going to push hard to try to win that game. All right, the Detroit Pistons beat the Orlando Magic 108 to 104. Washington Wizards beat the Brooklyn Nets 121-103. The Boston Celtics beat the New Orleans Pelicans 104 to 97. Anthony Davis is not playing, so the Pelicans have pretty much waved the white flag. The Charlotte Hornets have beaten the New York Knicks 111 to 97. The Dallas Mavericks. They beat the Houston Rockets in a close nail-biter of a game. This game does have playoff implications. I will go over that when I get to the standings. 88-86, Dallas beats the Houston Rockets, and the Portland Trailblazers beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder rested Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and George Ibaka. So they didn't play neither three of those guys because they are locked into a playoff seeding. And I believe this was the second game of a back-to-back. So the Trailblazers beat the Thunder 120-115. The Trailblazers may have a chance to move up or down in the standings. So this is a good win for the Trailblazers. So those were the scores from tonight's game. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to talk about a game that I had the pleasure and honor of attending on April 3rd, 2016. I was able to attend in person the Phoenix Suns versus the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are fighting for that 8th playoff seed against the Houston Rockets. So that game was a big win for Utah. Utah Jazz beat the Phoenix Suns 101-86. In my opinion, Phoenix should have been able to win that game. So I am a little bit disappointed in the Phoenix Suns for not winning that game. Let's go over some of the numbers from that game. Devin Booker had 14 points. Tyson Chandler led the team with 21 points, 18 rebounds. PJ Tucker had 14 points. Alex Len only had 3 points. So I like a lot of the pieces on the Suns. They have some nice pieces. I'm a big fan of Mirza Teletovic. I like John Lure. Devin Booker is phenomenal. He's 19. He's up and down. Alex Len has to play better. When Alex Len had those 30 and 20 point game, 30 point and 20 point rebound explosions, those were the games that the Suns were able to win. So Alex Len has to be more aggressive. I believe he is the key to helping them win more games next season. They do have a chance for a top 4 NBA draft pick, so they can add another young player. But in my opinion, they need to add another low-post veteran with a young player. You can't just have a bunch of young players. So, as I've spoken before, I think Zach Randolph would be perfect for them. He would give them a low-post presence to play off of Alex Len, and you could also play Zach with Mirza Teletovic and space the floor. So I was disappointed. The Suns should have been able to win that game. So that was pretty disappointing in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. So let's go ahead and look at the NBA standings real quick. So we're going to look at the Western Conference first, and then we're going to look at the Eastern Conference. So right now, the Houston Rockets are 38-40. They are about a game and a half out of the 8th spot. Utah Jazz are sitting at a 39-39, so they have a 500 record. They're in the 8th spot right now. So Houston and Utah, it's going to be a nice fight. Dallas is in the 7th spot with a 40-38 record. Portland has a chance to move up. They are sitting in the 6th spot right now with a 43-37 record. They will play OKC if the playoffs started today. So Portland can move up. I would take it that they may not want to see OKC in the first round. They might want to try to move up and play the Clippers. Right now, Memphis is in the 5th spot, 42-36. The Los Angeles Clippers are in the 4th spot, 49-28. Oklahoma City Thunder, 54-25. The mighty San Antonio Spurs are 65-12. Phenomenal record. But they're only 3 games back, or 3.5 games back of Golden State. So, very interesting. And they play Golden State 2 more times. So it's going to be very interesting to see if the Spurs will just lay down, or if the Spurs will try to knock off Golden State to see if they can get that top seed. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. The mighty Golden State Warriors, 69-9. We're going to talk about the game that they played last night. We're going to talk about that game here shortly. Go to the Eastern Conference. Sitting in the let's go over two teams, Washington and the Chicago Bulls. Both of these teams are about, the Wizards are about 3.5, 4 games out. Chicago is about, let's say, maybe 3 games out. The Washington Wizards have a 38-40 record. The Chicago Bulls are 39-39, 500 record. They are sitting out of the playoffs right now. So the Eastern Conference actually has a better record than the Western Conference. I know it's been a lot of years where the West has been better, but in this case, the East is back and the East is better this year. The Detroit Pistons, they are 42-37 in the 8th spot. They would play the Cleveland Cavaliers first round. Very interesting. The Indiana Pacers are 42-36. Charlotte Hornets in the 6th spot with a 45-33 record. The Miami Heat. This is a team that can make some noise. This is a dark horse team. They are 45-32 in the 5th spot. The Boston Celtics, 46-32 in the 4th spot right now. But these teams are going to kind of fluctuate and bounce around. A team can go from 3 to 7 with just a couple of wins or losses. The Atlanta Hawks, 46-32. The Toronto Raptors, very impressive year, great season this year, 52-25, 3 games back. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, who lost tonight, they are 56-23. I was hoping that Cleveland would go for 60 wins. I would have liked to see Cleveland go 60-22, but you know it happens. They're resting players, you know, things of that nature. So there you have it. You have your NBA standings. And like as I said, the Utah Jazz are really pushing for that 8th spot in the Western Conference. So that is going to be very interesting. Let's go ahead and take a pause here. We're going to take a pause for a station identification. But coming up, we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. And we're also going to talk about a little bit of NBA news. So you do not want to miss that. So you want to come back. Don't run off. You want to come back. I will be back with you shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. The double LP from Griffin G. Child, release date to be announced. You are listening to Moonbase Radio. And now, back to the show. Once again, I am back. The MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles. The double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Chat. Release date is still to be announced. Now, we are going to make this our final segment of this show. So this is going to be the last go around for this show. So we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors. We're going to talk about some NBA news, and then I'm going to break down what I will talk about in next week's show, the next MoonKast. I'm going to talk about that as well. So let's go ahead and talk about the mighty Golden State Warriors. I am very thankful that the Warriors have been great this season. I like seeing dominance, and I like seeing teams be dominant, and I like seeing teams destroy the competition. I don't like rest, and I don't like rest and taking it easy or coasting. So I'm glad that Golden State has decided to go for the Bulls record. Now they may not get the record. They have 4 games left. They have to win all 4 of these games to break it. I'm thinking they may be able to tie it, or they may be able to come in with the second best record with 70. The 1971-72 Lakers, I believe. The team of Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West. Elgin Baylor actually retired before the season, but they had Gail Goodrich, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Wilt Chamberlain. Elgin Baylor retired before the season, and they actually won 33 games in a row. They went 69-13 that year. So they had the best record in the history of the NBA until the 1995-1996 Chicago Bulls came along. And the Chicago Bulls have the record with a 72-10 record. So the next best team, I believe, is the 1974 Boston Celtics with a 68-14 record, as well as the 66 and 67 76ers. I believe they won 68 games as well. So the Chicago Bulls actually followed that year up and won 69 games. So they were 69-13. So right now, Golden State is 69-9. They seem a little long-winded and tired. I can tell that they're a little tired, but I want to see dominance. I believe that you don't want to let your competition think they can beat you. And so I'm glad that they're pushing for this record. I don't care how tired they get. I want them to keep pushing, and I want them to dominate and destroy the competition. Now, the Spurs, as I said, there are 3 losses back, and they do play the Spurs 2 games out of these last 4. So I'm not for sure if the Spurs are going to rest players or not. But even if the Spurs do rest players, the Spurs still know how to play. So we're going to see if it's going to be a competitive game or not on the Spurs side. Now, the Spurs beat the Golden State Warriors in the last appearance. And they did expand a lot of energy to beat the Warriors. It took a lot of energy to beat them in that last game. I believe the score was 85-79. So a very low scoring game. What I liked in that game is basically the Warriors are not invincible. But in order to beat them, you have to be able to fight fire with fire, and no other team has had that same amount of fire that can go against Golden State. Greg Popovich played Boris Diaw a whole lot, and Boris Diaw was able to go back at Draymond Green on the offensive end, and Kawhi Leonard was able to slow Draymond Green down on the defensive end. So I had a conversation with one of my brothers. His name is Rico. I've mentioned him before. So I had a conversation with one of my brothers, and he brought up an excellent point, and I have to give him credit for it. The key to slowing down the Golden State Warriors is to actually, you have to kind of slow down Draymond Green. And also, same thing that Charles Barkley said. It didn't apply last season, and it may not apply going forward. But he basically said that a jump shooting team will not win a championship, but they actually won it last year. But basically what he was saying is that a team that relies on a big heavy dosage of it may not win a championship. So the Golden State Warriors can get 3-point happy, and it has worked for them to the tune of 69 wins. So they are phenomenal. But there will be some nights where that 3-pointer just isn't falling. And last night was one of them where Curry did not have a great game. So let's go over last night's game. The Minnesota Timberwolves beating the Golden State Warriors in Golden State, 124-117 in overtime. The Boston Celtics actually snapped Golden State's 54-game winning streak at home in the Oracle Arena. My personal opinion, I don't like regular season winning streaks that carry over from the previous season. I don't really care for that. I like winning streaks in season. So right now, Golden State has 2 losses at home. The San Antonio Spurs are still perfect at home. The team with the best record in history at home, the 40-1 Boston Celtics, the 85-86 Boston Celtics were 40-1. They lost 1 game at home, and that was to the Portland Trailblazers back in 1986. So the Chicago Bulls, I believe the 95-96 Bulls, were 39-2 at home, and the 2009 Cleveland Cavaliers were also 39-2 at home. So those teams have like the best home records ever. Now the Spurs have a chance to break it, so we're going to have to see how things turn out with the Spurs. So just one quick pause. There is a scoring update. The Clippers beat the Lakers 91-81. So, as I was saying, that game was not complete at the time that I announced it, but it is complete now. So the Clippers have one more win in the win column from the standings update that I gave you. So just add one more win there to the standings there for them. And the Lakers, we'll get into the Lakers doing the draft lottery. So the Lakers are in the toilet. They're fighting for that top 3 protected pick to get Ben Simmons. So we'll leave that be. Let's go ahead and get back to the topic at hand here. So the Minnesota Timberwolves beat Golden State at home. Shabazz Muhammad had a phenomenal game. 35 points off the bench. Andrew Wiggins had 32 points. Karl Anthony Towns, 20 and 12. Phenomenal rookie season for him. He should be a lock for Rookie of the Year. Kristaps Porzingis was playing great. He seems to have hit a rookie wall. He's not playing that great. Karl Anthony Towns is playing phenomenal. So basically, there are some teams that have a few of the ingredients to beat Golden State. Once again, when Golden State goes with the small lineup of death, when they play Draymond at the center, a lot of teams don't have the personnel to hang with them. But basically it shows you Karl Anthony Towns, who scored 20 points, had 12 rebounds. He was able to go back at Draymond and also at Andrew Bogut. So Karl Anthony Towns can shoot the 3 ball as a big man. That pulls Bogut out of the paint. And Karl Anthony Towns has the quickness to blow past Bogut. And also he has the body mass and strength to hang with Draymond Green. So that is a key element there. You have to make Draymond Green work on both ends of the floor. And you have to attack their small ball lineup by pounding them in the paint. Charles Barkley has said that numerous occasions. You have to beat them down low, but you also have to go at Curry out on the perimeter. So with Shabazz Muhammad attacking and Wiggins having a phenomenal game, he actually carried them. I know people say that ISO ball is dead, and I haven't talked about that enough. The ISO ball compared to the ball movement. But ISO ball is not particularly dead. It depends on how great the athlete is, and you have to know when to come out of that and go into your ball movement. But the ISO ball is still very effective, but you have to know how to use it in keys and spurts of the game, where Andrew Wiggins was phenomenal. They slowed the tempo down on Golden State's end, and Wiggins was able to attack, as well as Karl Anthony Towns attacking in the paint. So those were very big keys. Stephen Curry, he had an off shooting night. He didn't score in the first half. I think he had like 2 points or something of that nature. He didn't have a big first half, but he lit him up in the second half. But as I was saying, there's going to be games where the 3-pointers just don't fall. And so even though Stephen Curry has floaters and layups and things of that nature to get to the basket, it's not a dominant mid-range game where you can control the tempo from the mid-range game. So there are some keys to beating Golden State. So it's going to depend on having the correct personnel, and you have to have it takes a lot of energy to beat those guys. So they're a phenomenal team. I'm not saying that they're not phenomenal, but I'm just saying that they're not invincible. And so you also have Andre Iguodala coming back from injury as well. They're just now coming back. So as he gets back implemented, you're going to see a big difference. Let's go over a couple more numbers. Klay Thompson had 28 points. Sean Livingston had 14 points off the bench. And Harrison Barnes had 20 points, along with Stephen Curry having 21 points. So a good balanced attack, but they are a little bit finesse. You know, they are a little bit finesse. So now, of course, they have won when you get physical with them. They have won those matchups as well because they are 69-9. But I do believe that there is a key to that. You do have to get physical with them. You have to rough Curry up, not dirty roughing up, but you have to go at him. And so, but there will be nights where you go at him all you want, and he's still going to hit the shots and things of that nature. But that is the key. Your big man could not be a big man just standing out there setting screens. He has to be active on both ends. You can't have a big man that's only active on one end. And I'm going to also mention another thing. You hear a lot of the times, you hear about the two-way player, a guy who can play defense and score, which is pretty much a two-way player. But let's go ahead and talk about a three-way player. A three-way player is a guy who can shoot the three, mid-range, and play defense. So let's talk about the three-way player. So Karl-Anthony Towns, as a big man, is actually a potential three-way center who can shoot the three, shoot the mid-range, and also go to the basket. He is a guy that you have to guard. And so I believe you can build around a big man, but the big man has to be a three-way player. He has to be able to shoot the three, shoot the mid-range, and also play on the defensive end. Now, of course, there aren't that many in existence yet, but the evolution of the game, there will be big men coming up, a la Don Maker, who I just spoke about earlier. He might be a big man because he is 19, that may be able to come into the NBA years to come and be able to stretch the floor in that nature that I'm speaking about. So keep your eye out on that for Golden State. Golden State, they may have a tougher time in the playoffs than people think. They may not just run through the playoffs. They play the San Antonio Spurs. By the time you receive this show, they will be playing the San Antonio Spurs on Thursday, which would be April 7th, 2016. So they will be playing the San Antonio Spurs. They have a chance to go for 70. 70 looks so beautiful on a sheet of paper. You tell somebody you got 70 wins. That looks great. That is fantastic. So look out for the Golden State Warriors going for the Bulls record. Scottie Pippen recently came out and said that the Bulls would sweep this team. Don't think they'll sweep them. I think it may go 6 or 7. But we'll get into that probably next week. We'll talk about Scottie Pippen's comments next week. So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of NBA news here. The biggest news from the team with the worst record, the Philadelphia 76ers. Sam Hinkie, the general manager, has decided to step down from his general managing duties. I am hearing that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to bring in Brian Colangelo, who is the son of Michael Colangelo, who they brought in earlier in the season. Now, I know you're going to get mixed opinions on this. I believe in the tanking philosophy. If you don't have a once-in-a-generation player, the best you can do is 40 wins, early playoff knockout, or late lottery. It's a 35, 40 wins, late lottery pick team, and you keep getting players in the 13th and 14th spots in the draft. So I'm not a big fan of, I'm not a fan of, well, they're not being competitive, blah blah blah. I'm not really interested in that. If you don't have a once in a generation player, it doesn't matter how much you want to win. You have to have a once in a generation player to get you to the next level. So Philadelphia in recent years has not been a hotbed for free agents. Free agents aren't beating down the door to go there. As I said, I lived in Philadelphia in 2012. During that time, they had a very nice young team. The team was led by Andre Iguodala. They also had Drew Holiday at the time. They had Elton Brand. They had LaVoy Allen. They had some nice pieces on that Philadelphia 76ers team. It was a very young team. They made it to the second round that year, but only because of the Derrick Rose's knee blew out. And so that was really the only reason that they made it to the second round, because Derrick Rose blew out his knee in the first game of the first round in that playoff series. I actually had the honor of attending a playoff game. I went to game 3 in the playoffs of that series. And so the Philadelphia 76ers actually beat the Bulls in 6 games. And that was actually the start of the downfall for Derrick Rose. He was phenomenal before that, MVP. And ever since then, he hasn't been the same. And the Chicago Bulls franchise has not been the same. But Philadelphia made it to the second round with Drew Holiday and Andre Iguodala leading the team. So they decided that that team was only going to take them so far, and they decided to break that team up. Iguodala is not a leader of a team. He can't carry a team, but he is a phenomenal locker room guy. He's a great presence, a very good player, but not the once-in-a-generation franchise cornerstone player. So he went to Denver, and then he now is in Golden State, and as you can see, he's Finals MVP, playing on a team with two of the greatest shooters of all time. So Sam Hinkie decided to break that team up and to stay in the draft and look for once-in-a-generation lifetime players. They were able to pick up Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, as we all know, has had foot problems, and he has yet to play. They also picked up Nerlens Noel, who had a knee problem, but Nerlens Noel is playing. And they picked up Jahlil Okafor, who now has a knee problem, but Jahlil had some basic surgery, and he should be good as new. I am a big Jahlil Okafor fan, and I do believe that once his knee heals, that he should be able to put the ball on the floor and score. And I like to see him extend his range out to the three-point line to be one of those three-way players. So, I don't have a problem with the strategy. It takes patience, and like I said, you have to have a once-in-a-generation player. So Ben Simmons, they have a chance to pick up Ben Simmons or Brandon Ingram. So you have a chance to pick up a nice young player, and plus they have Dario Saric coming over from overseas. So I think the Philadelphia 76ers can win 30 to 35 games next year. And I believe 3 years from now could be a playoff team, which of course is a long time, but I do believe in Sam Hinkie's vision in this process, even though he is now gone. But I believe the work that he did was good. So that's me. I'm in the minority here. But if they land Ben Simmons and you have Dario Saric coming over, he is a foreign player who could play the 2 or the 3. And now they need a point guard. Hopefully they have a ton of draft picks. So hopefully they can draft a young guard as well as maybe pick up a free agent veteran guard. And this could be a team that can win 30, 35 games. Now if Joel Embiid comes back fully healthy and can play with his back to the basket, then you can trade. You can make a move for Jahlil, or you can make some sort of a move. I'd like to keep Noel though. I think Noel could be a good defender. He just has to work on his jumper, that's all. So I believe in today's NBA, with the young players, if you can come into the league young enough and you have a suspect jump shot, you should be able to work on that jumper to improve it. So I don't believe in, now if you've been in the league 6-7 years, you don't have a jumper, you don't have a jumper. But if you're young, you should be able to work on your game. So I like to see Jahlil work on his jumper. I like to see Nerlens Noel work on his jumper as well. And they may have to trade or move one of them. I would like to probably see Joel Embiid in action first, but I would keep Noel. I like his energy. So I don't have a problem with Philadelphia and the tanking. I don't have a problem with that because I don't think they would be that great anyway. Even if they would have tried to win, they would have been mediocre, a la Sacramento Kings, and still not make the playoffs. So they have a chance for one of these young studs in Brandon Ingram and Ben Simmons. Plus they have Dario Saric coming over. So I'm looking at a 30-35 win team. You heard it here first. So we're going to leave it be as far as the news there. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to get into for next week's show. There's actually only one more week left in the NBA season. It's like 4 or 5 games left for every single team. So I'm going to give you my playoff edition MoonKast. So you're going to get another MoonKast before the playoffs start. We're going to talk about the playoff seedings and predictions. I'm going to give you my round by round prediction. So we're going to call this June Madness. So the boys are put away, and now it's time for the real men to play. It's time for the playoffs. So I love March Madness. I love college basketball, but it's nothing like the best of the best going at it in a best of 7. Nothing like the NBA playoffs, the final destination for all the marbles. So you have a lot of people that love college. I love the pro game. So in the next MoonKast, we're going to go over the playoff seedings, and I'm going to give you my predictions. And we'll talk a little bit of NBA draft news. We'll talk about some of the guys who are coming out. We're also going to talk about if Don Maker will be eligible to come out. So we're going to talk about those things in the next week's show. As we get toward the end of the season, a lot of times the news may dry up some. We're getting toward the end. The playoffs, there's not as much news. I will keep you posted on what is going on. So once again, we're going to do a show next week. Don't have the date on that yet, but look for a show next week. We're going to talk about the playoffs, the seedings, and the predictions. And that's going to do it. So this is show number 10. I'm so glad that I have done it again. Thankful that you have listened. And as I said, you want to go back and listen to those other shows. So you know it's a lot of great information if you have been following the NBA all season. Since I've made a show, LeBron has made some headlines on teaming up with other players and all that stuff. But we're not going to leave all that stuff alone. There's no need to get into all that hypothetical stuff. It's time for playoff ball. So we're going to stick with it. We're going to get busy and talk about playoff brand of basketball. So I know there's some other news that has happened, but we're going to let that be for right now. So next week, the playoffs is coming. This is it. And then we will also see if Golden State can break the record. So we're going to look for that. But I believe that last night's game, losing that game, may cost them the record. But like I said, we're going to check in next week. Thank you for listening. Also, once again, if you missed the Scottie Pippen effect, you guys need to go back and listen to that. Just Google Scottie Pippen effect. It's going to pop up. You got to check that out. You don't want to miss out on any of this news here that I brought forward to you. Once again, the MoonKast has been brought to you today by Moonbase Chronicles, the double LP from yours truly, Griffin G. Child. Release date is still to be announced. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week. God bless. Signing off. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to MoonBase Radio.